Yeah, the customer service mindset is often very lacking in healthcare because there isn't like a direct fiduciary duty to the customer that way. And so
Well,
it's often thought of secondarily.
well, it's customer service is a funny one, right, doctor? And you can appreciate this. You're not there to kiss their butt. You're there to give them tough news and tell them what's actually happening. But you have to do it in a way that they feel heard and respected, and ultimately you can do that in the time of the clinical encounter a lot. And that's a very difficult thing. And it, just like business education, there's very little support for this stuff in school. And so when you come out, and I've met a few, clients and potential clients, just friends who connect to ask advice. The burnout rate is massive because you may know what you know about medicine, but you've never been taught how to tell a patient from the outset. We've got 10 minutes, all yours for those 10 minutes. And I really do want to help you. I'm not your therapist. I'm here to be able to help guide you through all of this. And I know that this news is difficult, or I know that this is a challenge. I do appreciate having you here, and I do appreciate what you're going through. Um, let's figure out what's next, and let's then get there. Thank you. I appreciate your trust. People, when they don't know how to do that, it becomes very challenging. And then if they don't chart in a way that other people can read it and understand it, it becomes hugely challenging because it becomes then, a bigger issue in healthcare, right? And I don't know. I think every professional service person has a difficult time docketing or charting, right? Not to the same extent, for sure. Like the onus and the responsibility that's on doctors is second to no one else, like period. However, as a professional service business person, we all have a responsibility to work on our businesses as well as in our practices.
And so, in terms of like the growth of the organization, what's the long term vision then? Like right now, you guys are doing revenue and finances and this consulting side of things. So where do you see it going over the next decade?
Well, a loaded question, and I think that's a more of an off the record kind of conversation. I think right now what we'd really like to do, and the place that we're hell bent on going, services notwithstanding, is meaningfully fixing, and doing what we can to fix Canadian healthcare. We see a huge opportunity in just helping doctors and helping clinics actually stay open and thrive. We're not out to gouge. We're out to make sure that you have the tools that you need in a meaningful way to keep going right, keep going well, and keep your sanity. And we have as a business interest, as well as a community service interest, a real goal to helping get new doctors into Canada, giving the tools they need to be able to actually practice meaningfully. And you can see on our website too. It's a bit of a service initiative we call the Road to 1,000 Doctors. Ultimately for us, success in our vision of helping make sure that the Canadian public healthcare system is actually serviceable. That, my family don't need to go to an emergency room and wait 15 hours because there is no one else around who can see them, and make sure that the people who do see them are comfortable, if not happy. That to me is probably one of the most worthwhile ways I can spend my time, and that's really the vision for the business. The services and the way we're going to help, those doctors and those clinics, as they continue to figure out what's next. We'll continue to evolve as we understand how to better help them to not just stay open, but stay feasible and grow.
And so, dealing with all these clinics, all these doctors, as an entrepreneur, business owner yourself, what was the best day and what was the worst day?
Great question.
It's a tough one. Yeah, both opposite ends of the spectrum. Time when it was going really well, and then the time where everything was blowing up and falling apart.
I can't give you a worst day story because I think it's just honestly too graphic and too tough. Aside from the fact that we get called into some pretty tough situations. Um, the things that we see when things are going sideways are truly brutal, and the things that I've been through in my journey are, um, you know, they're I would say that they're generally the worst nightmare for both entrepreneurs and people that are in the clinic business. Um, I would say that there's very little that I haven't seen at this point, short of, short of, short of very graphic physical things happening, to me or in front of me. There's very little that I haven't seen in the way of tough things. Um, we've dealt with fires, we've dealt with floods, we've dealt with, like our old landlord once tried to shank somebody in the hall. Like, one of our
What?
patients' drivers had a heart attack in our waiting room. I'm trying to, what else was there? I mean, floods to the point where there were inches of water right on the floor. And, the insurance company came in, and the remediation group was trying to rip holes in more walls. We had a lady who, unfortunately didn't disclose medication issues, and she had a cardiac challenge, in the practice. And notwithstanding the fact that when the EMS showed up, they literally shook my hand and said, if we were going to crash anywhere outside of a hospital, we'd want to crash with your team. This is the best run. This is the best run medical group I've literally ever seen, which was great. Didn't stop the patient from trying to extort us for, I don't remember, it was 10 or 20K to, not sue the physicians and not sue the clinic, and everything in between, right? Audits, fights with government. I've literally negotiated with the heads of with OHIP. Because I'm not a member of the OMA, I don't have to deal with those channels, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but those are all challenges that I wouldn't say I've all faced successfully, but we've certainly given our best shot. In terms of tough days with clinics and clients, I could share a few. All of them I think would relate to imminent closure, and what happens to patients and what happens to the physicians and what happens to the physicians who signed on the dotted line, as a result of that. Best days. There's been some great ones. There's been some really, really great ones. We started working with a practice that, when we started with them, and it's not an unusual story, when we started with them, like, the owners were very upset because they thought their days were numbered. I mean, the bank had sort of said the days are numbered, and they weren't sure what to do. And that group, fast forward 3 months, revenue is up 20%, 25%, top line net of our fees. We immediately, we started giving physicians that work in the group very, very clear, transparent statements. Told everybody what we were going to do and exactly how we were going to do it. I actually have a case study on this on our website. Very, very clear, right? We started with explaining to everybody exactly what we're going to do. Doctor, great to meet you. You're extremely talented. I know that this has been a difficult time. Here's what happens as of tomorrow. You start getting access to financial statements in real time. You can see exactly what you built. You can see exactly what's going to be deducted as overhead. You can see exactly what your taxes are, exactly what your premiums are. Oh, and by the way, you're going to start to get paid pretty much immediately from here on out. So if you don't leave and you stay, you have zero risk of worrying about if your money is going to be here at the end of the month. There's no question. It's coming ahead of the overhead payment. From there, making sure that the revenue recognition was right in the books, but also making sure that the claims were right, made an immediate top line bump to the physicians and to the clinic. And what that meant was immediate confidence. Not only did we say what we were going to do and then do it, but we said what we were going to do, we did it, and there's more money. Using that and keeping the communication right and keeping the trust right, we were able to help to mentor the management group on the nuts and bolts of how to be able to actually, cut some costs, make some lifestyle adjustments, and focus on who their real customer is, right? The clinic's customer is almost, in a lot of cases, it's more the doctor than the patient. You have to take care of the patient. The patient is what is the fuel, but the physicians are really the group, right? And so focused on them, made sure that we did everything we said we were going to do the way that we said we were going to do it. And as a result, I think within 3 or 4 months, physicians started telling friends, and that business should be three or four times the size it was when we started with them within about a year of getting going. And I think when you think about the number of patients that place is helping, today on a daily or monthly basis, that they wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't for us. And we see those numbers, right? They pop into our dashboard. Sometimes when I think things are a little tough and I'm a little tired, I look at that number and I remember there's thousands of people that are getting seen because of us, and that really makes my day.
Yeah, you help the helpers, and that impact really echoes throughout the entire system.
It's the coolest part, right? It's the coolest part, and it's funny, like, we're both entrepreneurs, and you can appreciate that when you're really desperate for something. There's, I had an uncle who used to say once that there was times in life when there's a dime is worth $1, and other times where $1 is worth a dime. A lot of times people come to us and they just don't know what to do next. They need to grow, they need to build, and they're within 5 to 10% of profitability, and that's a great opportunity because they're always super keen and ready to roll. As the business gets bigger and the challenges get bigger, and of course the revenue grows, the appetite and the question always is, well, do we really need to, do we really need to keep you, and do we really need to continue to work on this partnership? And so there's usually a fork in the road. And what we found is that, at the end of the day, very few clinics leave, because even if we're costing a lot, we're able to put a lot of value back into the practice, because of course the bigger the practice gets, the more sophisticated the support that's needed, and ultimately I think that's also where a lot of the value can come from.
I'm Dr. Jordan Vollrath, and you've been watching Cherry Live, brought to you by Cherry Health. Please like and subscribe to see more clips like this, or check us out at www.cherry.health, Canada's medical network.